The Big Play Reflog Show is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News is the place to be for all your gaming needs with the latest news, guides, walkthroughs, and reviews, like their featured article reviewing Madden NFL 23, where you can use 99 overall Myles Garrett to help lead the Browns to a Super Bowl. And remember to check out their weekly Shack Chats where the staff discuss topical events and games. And you can always join in on the conversation by using the Shack News Cortex. So if you're a gamer, Shack News is the site for you. Check them out on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at the handle @ShackNews and @ShackNews.com.
It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio, presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world, the Big Play Reflog Show.
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I know damn now. Attack by Chuck. To the 10. He's still running to the 5. He dips out past the victory. Touchdown. Swinging a drive. To deep left. Away. Back to goal. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're doing no baseball.
It's time! The Big Play Reflog Show.
Welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. I'm your host, Big Play Dave, alongside my two favorite people, Chris McNeil and Nick Padone. Chris, school is back. How are you, sir? How was your rainy weekend in Cleveland? I promise it's not always like that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, kicked the kids out this morning, first day of school for the boys. So they are back and out of the hair. But as you mentioned, the weekend, went to that Guardians game on Saturday. Cleveland Guardians, you need to start updating folks on what's going on during rain delays. There's a 3-hour rain delay during that thing. It started before it started raining, and they pulled the tarp out, and they didn't let anybody at the stadium know what was going on. They had fireworks afterwards. You got all these families. You have school starting up this week, so everybody was getting their last, hurrah for the summer. So it was packed, well attended, and nobody knew what was going on. You got to be better.
I love how angry you still are about that, by the way.
And then it happened to me the very next day.
And
It happened to me on Sunday. And Saturday night, Chris, I was laying in my bed. I was listening to those fireworks going off at 12:30.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
I was there.
I was not there.
Wow.
We left. I've never been to a game before where I went, I bought tickets a week before, hauled my butt and my family all the way up there to the game, sat there for 3 hours, and never saw a single pitch of baseball.
Wow.
We left because we had a kiddo with us. We had to leave. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's tough.
And then
Yeah.
they had a free giveaway, Dave, of a blanket. Somebody
Uh-huh.
stole our blankets. I'm still pissed about that too. So
Who steals a giveaway free item? Everyone gets one.
yeah. And I was expecting out of everything this weekend, the Browns game to be the absolute S show, And it turns out the Guardians were. I mean, the Browns, for the most part, showed up there. It rained a little bit up to kickoff. It cleared. All the weather was fine. The game progressed about like we would have expected. I know we're going to get into it here, but everything was good. So I don't know. The Guardians need to work on their in-game updates and what they do for fans whenever there's a rain delay. I'll tell you that much.
Dude, it's Elton John. I blame Elton John.
Yeah, blame the Rocket Man.
I know.
He screwed up our season. If this season goes off the rails now, Sir Elton John, you're on everybody's crap list.
The drive,
There
the
we go.
fumble, the shot,
Elton John.
the Elton John concert.
Yep.
Oh, unbelievable. All right, let's start the show. We're going to kick it off with Power Rank Monday. We haven't done that forever. Then it is on to our featured interview of the week. Speaking of things we haven't done forever, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We have not talked any Buckeyes. It is sneaking up on us. Lori Schmidt joining from the Columbus Dispatch. And then we will get into, what are we doing last here? All the headlines. Cleveland headlines brought to you by TSE Cleveland. It has been a long time, by the way, since we have power ranked.
What are we
I
power
hope
ranked?
it's a good one. Let's amp us up.
It's time for Power Rank Monday.
All right, we are power ranking our favorite school subjects. Kids across Northeast Ohio are heading back to school. Chris, I'm sure yours just went. If they haven't yet, mine went last Thursday. Favorite school subjects. Nick, you were the closest to school than me and Chris. Did you have
It's
a
so
favorite
early.
subject?
It's so early for the kids to go back. What would be your
Oh,
guys'
so
guess?
stupid.
I want to hear the guesses first.
You strike me as a history buff.
All right, Chris.
Oh gosh.
I was gonna say math, and then I was like, no, I don't think math.
English major. You think of yourself as a journalist.
Yeah. There you go. English.
Yeah.
No
Yep.
kidding.
Yep.
He
that was always my
fancies
favorite.
himself one of them guys who can talk well.
Yeah, Nick, I was an English major in college.
I didn't know that.
I was
Miami?
creative writing. Yes, creative writing major at Miami University.
I did
That's
not know that.
major?
The only major that never had to take a test.
There you go.
My junior year, I was like, I need to get out of here or my parents are going to kill me. Please find me a major, and I don't like tests.
Boy, I
Creative writing.
wasted my time at Miami by being a marketing major and an economics minor. Could have been taking creative writing.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, Nick's going
journalism
English.
is easy.
All right,
Yep,
Chris,
English.
what would yours be?
Favorite school subjects?
Yeah.
I go by classes, right? There was a class that I took in high school at Granville, which was an AV class. And that was great because all we did was screw around the whole time. We had like an assignment, and it was like a semester assignment where you had to create a movie, which at that time, you were carrying around this huge camcorder.
Oh,
which is a pain
yeah.
in the butt, and then you'd have to edit and everything else. And so we just, would go around Granville and say we're filming, and sometimes we would, and sometimes we just mess around. So those are good times, Dave. So I'd say AV was my favorite.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know what I would go with. How about my oldest just went to middle school. How about 6th grade health?
Ooh, you're hitting some heavy topics there.
Oh my gosh. I still remember when I was young and my dad and his best like college buddy were, he was up visiting, and I was going in 6th grade, and we were taking a health test. And Chris, I kid you not, like our health teacher sounded like the South Park teacher, Mr. Mackey. And
Yes.
so he would be like, all right, we are going to label the penis. And we're just 6th graders, and we're just like, oh my God, try not to laugh. Like it was pretty funny. And they would just get so mad at us. So I'll go health.
Health is your favorite class?
I don't know. I didn't really like school all that much. My favorite class, not math. I think the highest math I ever took was pre-calculus.
You
I didn't even
senior
take.
year
I
of
didn't even
high
take
school.
that.
you were bad at school, weren't you?
I didn't
Dave?
even take that.
How'd you get into
was all
Miami? You sound like more of an OU guy right now, like our guest, Lori Schmidt.
That was my safety school.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chris. I had good grades. I think I got like a
you're taking
29
all
on
these
the
easy
ACT.
classes.
That helped. It was easier to get into Miami back then. I couldn't get into college now. There's no way. No one would
That
accept me.
competitive program of creative writing. I'd imagine there's people clawing over each other to get into that.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like any of them. I guess science.
Was
Did
that,
you remember the
was that on
science
Western
experiment?
campus? Was that on Western campus? No.
Yeah,
this
dude.
was part of the
Havikhurst.
main-
I lived in Havikhurst.
Oh, that was right next to Anderson Hall, where I was at. I think.
Yeah, great broccoli cheddar soup for
Yeah.
any of those Miami guys down there. All right, so we got English. We've got Chris. What'd you say? AV.
AV. Yeah. How about
And
art? Art was always fun.
Yeah,
I did
middle school
not. I
science.
never liked art.
You didn't
I was-
like art? Oh,
I'm
that's another
so
one.
bad
He'd
at it.
screw around and I do something dumb and easy, and he'd like it because it was kind of creative or witty, and you really wouldn't have to put a whole lot of work in, and you could just kind of mess around the rest of the time. And I sat at a
No
table with
cuts.
some cute girls, as I recall, in high school, so that was good times.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, back to school. I'm glad. I'm glad we don't go anymore. All right, let's
had a
being,
nice-
being an adult is a lot easier, right, Dave?
Oh yeah. Easy peasy, Chris.
Right.
All right, let's talk some actual sports. That's enough about school. Let's get into our featured interview of the week with Lori Schmidt, and we are going to talk some Ohio State Buckeyes. Be back in 1 second. Already on the line, the Labatt line, we have the assistant sports editor for the Columbus Dispatch and friend of the show, Lori Schmidt, rejoining the show. Lori, how the heck are you?
I'm doing real well, guys. How are you?
We're good. We're good. Did you have a favorite subject in school?
Ethics, because the professor would go out drinking with the students and then be too hungover to teach the next day. And so I thought the irony of that was just an incredible lesson.
And once again, for everybody in the audience who doesn't know, where did you go to school, Lori?
I went to Ohio University because I didn't need a degree in bougie 101. So I didn't need to go to Miami.
Well played. Well played. We
Oh,
have no comeback.
Nothing at all.
Lori, yeah, that's right. Let's get into some Ohio State action because we have been, we have not covered this whatsoever thus far. It's creeping up on us very quickly. Who do you think is Ohio State's biggest competition for the Big Ten this year?
I mean, it's got to be Michigan. I really, just based on what they did last year, and I don't know, they had a strange off season, and Harbaugh's kind of gotten into his old way of doing things, speaking off the cuff, being sort of
Very Harbaugh.
yes, very Harbaugh, impulsive, sort of impulsive. So I'll be really eager to see what they do this year. But I mean, you kind of got to give them the nod as the favorite to be the biggest competition on OSU's schedule based on what they did last year, if nothing else.
But let's be honest, in the Big Ten, it's all about us beating ourselves potentially. I don't see anybody really creeping up. Is there anything in camp that you've seen so far that's surprised you? How's CJ Stroud looked? How's that running game? We lose a back here last week. How are we looking on the offensive side of the ball? And then what do you see on defense?
Offense is the kind of offense you've seen under Ryan Day. They are strong. There is a little depth concern at running back after Evan Pryor went out with injury. In fact, they've got a linebacker, Chip Tatum, that they've been trying a little bit at running back. So there's a little depth concern there. But, I mean, when you have Travion Henderson and C.J. Stroud, and you bring back some quality offensive linemen, DeJuan Jones, Paris Johnson, both named to the AP All-American preseason teams today. As much as I hate preseason honors, they were named by the Associated Press to some preseason All-American squads, which is fairly impressive. So the offense and the leadership is back. The play calling is back. There's no reason to expect anything less than what you saw last year from the Buckeyes, which was quite impressive. Defensively, that's a big question mark. Now, we keep hearing from camp that the defense looks really good. And CJ's been impressed with the scheme enough that he says it's really testing him as a quarterback. So it's a little less simplified than what they were trying to do last year. Depth concerns in the back end there, to the point where they had a kicker playing defensive back. So that's always something that's got to make you nervous, especially when it's a defensive scheme that is as heavy on the secondary as Jim Knowles likes to run.
Mhm.
But if they can be just a little better on defense than they were last year and accomplish the same things that they did on offense, this should be a very good Ohio State team.
What do you think about for the opener? Obviously, we got Notre Dame coming up here in a couple of weeks. Going to be a big game on paper. We talked about the spread prior to this, to the podcast here. It looks like it's what, 14, Dave? Something along those
It
lines.
keeps creeping up. I think up to 16 now.
So nationally, people are thinking this is really going to be Ohio State to lose. They're going to roll. What do you see with that Ohio State Notre Dame game for the opener?
I just keep thinking how good of a coach that Luke Fickell ended up being and how lost he looked in his very first game at the helm. And I don't envy Marcus Freeman doing the same thing in an even bigger venue, because it is Ohio State and Notre Dame. And you've got these clash of these great traditions. So, and then you've got the fact that they're replacing their quarterback. I can see why the odds are what they are right now. Also, I remember a couple years ago when Ohio State lost to Virginia Tech, how much that game was an impetus for them moving forward for quite a while. And I see the same kind of motivation from them based on how last season ended defensively. So I think this is a hungry Ohio State team. I think Ryan Day intentionally beat them up a little bit in camp. And so I can understand why on paper right now we're saying that this game might not be extraordinarily close.
That'd
Is
be
there
a lot of
anybody
fun.
Is there anybody on the schedule that you see that might kind of jump up, really give us a problem? Do you think Notre Dame could give us the most problem, or is there somebody in the Big Ten here?
No, honestly,
Outside of
I agree with the statement you made earlier, Chris. It's about whether Ohio State beats itself this year, especially defensively. I really do think that OSU's greatest competition is OSU at this point.
What do you make of these next couple of years here, Lori? Talking about around the Big Ten, it seems like the entire Pac-12 wants to jump ship. You know, we've heard UCLA. I think today we saw reports of Oregon. What do you make of how this conference could look in the next couple of years?
I think it would make sense to add a couple more West Coast teams. I mean, if you're USC, UCLA, you don't want to be stranded on this little island in the Big Ten where you have to travel all that much. So I think it would make sense to add a Stanford, maybe an Oregon. I can't see them sitting at the number that they're sitting at now. Even Kevin Warren said that 20 is a possibility. So maybe just the Big Ten times 2, or the Big XX. I don't know what they would do, but
You got to rename it at that point, right? Like what? Like
I have no. Well, don't. No, please do not put the Big Ten in charge of renaming anything. Do you not recall Legends and Leaders?
those
legends
were
and
great times,
leaders.
Lori. Come on, legends, leaders. That was just such a natural, right?
That was a consulting firm kind of thing. That
Oh
was
yeah.
horrible. I mean, whew, okay. That was an idea that should not have been let out of the box.
Yeah, and it's everybody lampooned it as soon as it came out. It didn't last that
Yes,
long. How many seasons did we go with that? Was that 2 seasons before
I
they
think it was
changed?
2. It was
I
too
think it was
many, that's for sure.
yeah.
How do you think that fares though with some of those West Coast teams, potentially heading towards the East Coast, heading towards, Columbus, which, it's just some colder weather games later on in mid-November, used to playing out in California. How do you think that fares for them?
And you also gotta remember the time changes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not easy, I would imagine, kicking off for what would then be 9 AM. Um, I think it is going to be tough on them. I do not envy the Olympic sports, especially. Football, you've got to wonder if teams start traveling a few days ahead of competition now instead of just day before, day of. It's not going to be easy, and I will be interested to see how it works out. But in the NFL, they seem to make long travel work. So in the NHL, they have 82 games. They do a lot of traveling, so all over the place. So they can make it work. It'll be interesting to see whether they want to give up the pretense of them being student athletes in order to make it work, because this is going to be quite a time commitment that's required of them.
I mean, they kind of have to at this point, right? I mean, you're talking about going to a game, 3, 4, 5 days before it happens, and you're supposed to be a college, student. Haven't we kind of gotten to that point?
Just do creative writing, man.
There we go.
Or have a class with my ethics professor. But
Yes.
the other thing is, there is now, unlike when we were in school, guys, remote learning. So I mean, we these guys sometimes aren't physically in class right now, so it'll be interesting to see if that enables some stuff. I mean, I just talked to Chimde Chekwa the other day, who was in the NFL and getting a business degree. So it is
Right.
possible to be an actual professional athlete and go to class. So I mean, I guess it is theoretically possible. And we actually had our news division look this up because we were interested in it. USC and UCLA are really good schools. And when the Big Ten said we only want to add schools with a certain academic profile, they kind of meant it. So I know we can be cynical about it, but the Big Ten may deserve a little bit more of a benefit of a doubt than we're giving them.
I do object, Lori. We did have remote learning back in our day. I remember distinctly having my roommate go to
No, we
class, take
didn't.
notes while I slept in. And I think that's a form of remote learning.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Okay, you pioneered it.
That's right. That's right. We were the first ones to do that, I'm sure. Hey, switching tracks a little bit. Big announcement today from Ohio State hockey. Ohio State, Michigan, going to be playing a game outdoors at First Energy Stadium up there in Cleveland. Can you talk a little bit about that? Any background you have on that particular game?
I'm excited for it. I know that in Columbus, there's been a hue and cry because they really want outdoor hockey,
Yeah,
but they haven't had it at the shoe because of plumbing issues or something like that. So this
so go
will
to
give,
Cleveland. We never have any problems with any of our fields up in Cleveland.
yeah,
Thanks for Elton John.
there you go. But this will give Columbus hockey fans a chance to demonstrate their interest in watching an outdoor game. So this is definitely something that the Buckeyes are going to promote and promote hard. And it is just going to be a cool venue between rivalry teams. I think it's going to be really fun to watch.
That brings us, you touched on it. I tell you, it would be so cool. I know locally a lot of guys have talked about this. If we were able to have a Blue Jackets game outside at the shoe, do you see that ever happening?
Wow.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That
It would
would.
be very cool. It's also going to be very costly. And the issue right now is that no
So
one
what?
wants to foot the bill.
Okay. Ohio State's got money. The Blue Jackets got money, don't they? If they figure this out, get together, make it work, they'll sell a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
100,000 people. I mean, you fill that place up, I'm sure that's gonna pay for it, right?
one would
Well,
think.
based on the economics, I was an econ minor at Miami, and it seems like the economics should work for something like that in Columbus.
Chris, would you go out there and sit in the cold though?
For something like that, yeah. Remember now, Nick, you're asking the guy who held the parade up in Cleveland.
That's
for
fair.
0-16 when it was 16 below. So, yes, I do it for the novelty. I think no doubt about it.
Chris, there were people at that parade who were trying to take live videos and their phone was freezing.
Yeah.
Literally freezing. So I think you'll be all right.
So I would love to see the Blue Jackets go outdoors, especially if they continue to do what they've done in this offseason. Lori, can you talk a little bit about the Blue Jackets offseason? I mean, this team kind of has come out of nowhere to add some nice pieces and it's got some folks excited about the season.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about an athlete in Ohio with first name Johnny, second name of sport, playing here. That's never
Johnny
done
Hockey.
well for us yet. But Johnny Hockey did sign with the Columbus Blue Jackets this offseason, and it's interesting how it kind of made the Blue Jackets take the plans that they had in place, which was this slow, steady progression toward a team that could be a Stanley Cup contender. And they're like, oh, well, the heck with that plan. I mean, we can sign Johnny. We're going to accelerate our advancement toward being a team that can compete for the cup. Yeah. And they had to make some painful choices to do that. They parted with a very good player in Oliver Bjorkstrand because salary dump had to be made. But they really have sort of accelerated their growth as a team. If they can be a team that is, so you know what, they're kind of like Ohio State. They need good defense. And if they can get a little bit of that, they can be a team to contend with.
Should be a fun season. Kind of came out of nowhere. Did you get any insight on? I heard some rumors about the reasons he chose Columbus, but what ultimately landed Johnny Hockey in Columbus, Ohio?
His family situation. He wanted to be closer to home, and he's an East Coast guy. And it was just a situation where he combined that, which was his primary interest. I want to play close to home, and then look at the teams with salary available and their roster situation, and where do I fit best among that constellation of teams? And Columbus was the team that won out.
Interesting. Well, Lori, any parting thoughts now on the Buckeyes or anything Columbus? I love having somebody from Columbus on. We're so used to having Cleveland, of course, 90% of the time. So whenever I get somebody like a Lori Schmidt on, I always have to ask and see if there's anything Columbus-centric you can add to the convo.
I'm very eager to see, I've watched some of these young, to give you a little Cleveland flavor from Columbus. Some of the Guardians this year have been really impressive, and I am eager to see their continued growth when they're not playing in a field that's been torn up by Elton John.
I'm still, though, in mourning, Lori. Bobby Bradley, R.I.P. That guy was tearing it up. And
he didn't die.
I know. All right, but he was with the Clippers. He was so fantastic to go out there and watch, and just what he had put together, and it just tears me up.
I really hope for a day where we can see, just from a story standpoint, Josh and Bo Naylor together.
Oh, there you go.
Yes,
I think that would be just really cool.
It would be electric too.
And I'll tell you, with the way the Guardians have built out the system, it is great to get out to Columbus Clippers games here in Columbus. That whole area, you got the Clippers, you got the Crew. Any Crew thoughts? We never talk Crew. Any Crew thoughts? Party
this all full circle. I like it.
There you go, full circle. Well,
Cujo Hernandez
there too.
Yes.
He's the real deal.
Yeah. With a caveat about sample size, Cujo Hernandez may be the best scorer that Columbus has ever had. Brian McBride has the advantage of longevity and the track record right now, so I would give the benefit of the doubt to him. But Cujo has been amazing with 8 goals in 8 games. He is just, and to play with Lucas Zelarayan the way that he is, it's been really impressive to watch. He's fast, he's exciting, he's personable. I guess he's Johnny Soccer. He's
many
done
times.
really amazing things in Columbus. And he is fun to watch too. He's not just like a good player, he's also a good player who is fun to watch.
It's always fun down there too. I love the atmosphere. I still don't understand everything that goes on, and I've been to several games, and I've been to several Crew games over the years and some at the stadium, but it's just such a fantastic atmosphere for anybody who's never been to a Crew game.
Yes, I would highly encourage it.
All right,
And
I
learn
have
the chants because that's fun.
yeah, the chants are crazy. I do have
Yes.
one more before we take it full circle. What about Ohio State hoops? I know it was, such a weird season last year where they started off really hot and then maybe tapered a little bit at the end. What are expectations, or should there be any expectations as we head into this season with the Buckeyes? Because that'll be starting up really soon as well.
It seems like another year where Ohio State needs to get some good point guard play, and that's a little bit of a question mark going in. But if they can get that, they should be an impressive team. Some of their young players, they've looked really impressive. Now, I'm going with secondhand reports from overseas play when they were playing Egypt and whatnot. So, we obviously don't know what the final product will look like, but they need to be better. Boy, I feel like this is a refrain tonight. They need to be better defensively than they have been in the past. And Chris Holman, he has done a good job of generally getting a team built over the course of a season. And the last 2 years, it's kind of gotten away from that. There's been like a lull in January and February that's really put the team behind the eight ball. But if he can do what he was doing before as a coach, which is to take a team and just get them to gradually improve over the course of the season without that big setback, 2/3 of the way through the year, then Ohio State hoops fans should have something to be excited about come March.
Well, I think we've covered it all. All of the
Took us
Columbus.
all around
Yeah,
Columbus.
look
Isn't that
at that.
fantastic?
Very impressive. So for people who want more Lori Schmidt content for all of the Columbus area news, Lori, where's the best place to find all your content?
Dispatch.com. I work with a great stable of writers. They are so impressive. They are such a good group of reporters. My boss is the best boss that I have ever had, and that's saying something because I have had some very, very good bosses. So that's the best place. And I am also on Twitter at Lori Schmidt because I have been on Twitter so long I was able to get my actual name.
And verified now, by the way. Congratulations. I think that was
Yes, I know. Oh my goodness, bro. You just don't be behind a microphone, apparently, is the secret.
Lori, we appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on. Love to have you back again sometime soon.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
All right, Lori Schmidt.
Always good to have our checkup on Columbus.
Yeah,
right.
we went all the way around. That was good.
Yeah, we hit Clippers, we hit Crew, Ohio State hoops. Good stuff.
I forgot about Ohio State hoops completely. So, Nick, I'm glad you brought that up.
I mean, yeah.
It's a big
I was
season.
so in love with them, and then they just depressed the hell out of me there at the end. So
Yeah.
I had to find out what was going on.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's get into some Cleveland headlines. Go from Columbus headlines to Cleveland headlines. Let's do it. Nope, that's the wrong one. We are. I had to get rid of that Baker Mayfield intro because we finally have some clarity in Cleveland, Ohio. As everyone knows, Deshaun's getting 11 games, paying $5 million. He's going to go to counseling. I think that's already started. Jacoby Brissett season. I know Josh Dobbs is the the person everyone's talking about, but Jacoby Brissett has not played whatsoever. What are our expectations going into the year? We had a rare Facebook comment, by the way, from Ben Stewart. What's going to be the Browns' record after 11 games? What are your expectations?
I'm hopeful.
Go Browns, hopefully.
I think Dave. I think
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay. I think we'll be
Yeah.
okay. I really do. I think we could play 500, just over 500 ball. 6-5 is what I'm looking at. I really think that's a possibility.
Yeah, that would be nice.
You set yourself up for a playoff run. You get Deshaun back. I just think we've got so much talent on this team now that we're going to be. I mean, the NFL is set up for you to go 500 anyway, and I think that we're above 500 with our talent, so we should be able to kind of roll with that. And then once we improve the quarterback by bringing in Deshaun Watson and he enters the fold, I think then we'll really kind of take off. But we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a very uneven season, I think, for the Cleveland Browns, and anything is possible, as always.
And I think schedule-wise, it's kind of an uneven schedule when you look at it, because if, Chris, we were talking about this before the show, if we don't start off well against the first 4 weeks are pretty relatively easy. If we don't start off well, Browns Twitter is going to be literally the worst place to be for an entire Browns season, because 5 through 12, it gets brutal.
Yep, it's middle heavy schedule.
Not only Twitter, but also the in-game. It'll be interesting to see. I think some people probably saw the guys selling the shirts outside, the Deshaun Watson shirts, and the guy with his son and some posters inside the stadium. Some stuff that makes you cringe. I tell you, being in the stadium, first of all, it wasn't well attended, which it's preseason, and what do you expect? But the people that were there were fairly divided, I'll say, for a preseason game. You had a lot of people, of course, wearing Baker Mayfield jerseys, and you're going to wear those because, hell, that's the last jersey you bought. But I think there are a lot of people trying to make a point by wearing them. And then you had some people very vocally supporting Deshaun Watson and everything that he did. There was a guy behind us in the row with a couple of young kids saying, "Hey, if I had all kinds of money like that, I could do whatever I want to. Deshaun's fine." It's just like, whoa. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the stadium's full, if this thing does go badly. And I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm not expecting it to, but if it does, the fan base is really divided, guys. And you could feel it when you're in there. At least I did. Now, the sample size is small. It's one preseason game. And, your regulars probably aren't showing up for the preseason game.
Right.
I was there, but, a lot of the folks around us were newer people who I hadn't seen before. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. It's just something to watch out for. The things that you're seeing, the pictures of people with some of the cringy stuff around Deshaun Watson, that's not only outside the stadium, it's happening inside. And it could create some issues for us down the road.
Jeez.
Oh boy.
And to that point, we just mentioned Jacoby Brissett and what he's capable of. When the Browns got rid of Baker Mayfield for Deshaun Watson, we knew the suspension was coming.
Right.
They willingly entered. They gave their admission ticket at the gate to the QB carousel. We've seen Joshua Dobbs look good for 2 preseason games now. I was at a lot of games in the 2010s through 2015s of when that starting QB doesn't look good and he's not really your long-term solution. It's pretty easy to get some chance going for the backup quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Oh, don't start there.
I mean, there's gonna be people. If Jacoby doesn't play well, there are certainly gonna be people that want to see Dobbs. It's just
absolutely. That'll be game 1,
baby.
Dobbs pound, yeah. I mean, and then, like, God forbid the Jimmy G thing doesn't unfold by then. It's just gonna be a whole nut. They opened up this can of worms, and now it's gonna be 11 long weeks. And when Deshaun gets on that field, he better play well.
Oh man. Can you imagine week 12? We're
in
calling
Houston
for Josh Dobbs.
In Houston.
Please don't. I can't take it. I can't take it.
No.
It's too much.
No.
It's too
God,
much.
we've had some long off seasons. This
Yeah.
is rough.
And then this one also, guys, it has a little bit more to go. I know Chris was just talking a little bit about, how talented this roster is. There's still some alarming holes. I mean, I was watching that preseason game from the dugout suite, waiting for them to fix up Elton John's turf. And man, some of those defensive tackles were just getting blown 5 yards off the ball. The defensive line didn't look good. I know that they were backups, but guess what? They were going up against backups and they didn't look too hot. And the receiver room, I think there will be another receiver added at some point. It's just too many question marks. And I can't see them going into the season with a question mark at quarterback and a question mark at receiver, especially after what we saw last year in the AFC with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the Bengals. It's tough for me to buy that.
All right, so we played Philly 21-20. Thank God we're not the preseason champs. We won't have those shirts again. But Nick, some of the takeaways from that, you're right. Where's Chase Winovich? Where's Perion Winfrey? This guy was the talk of the town when we brought him on. He hasn't been anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he was the 4th round pick for a reason. And right now, you heard Stefanski kind of sidestep it today at practice. Seems like it's all the makings of the guy that's in a doghouse. He missed the entire first quarter, didn't record a snap, and then was in there until damn near the end of the game. And when he was in there, he didn't look that well, and he kind of looked salty to have been in the game. So I don't know what's going on with Perion. Stefanski did say too that he was having some small injury things that he was trying to work through. So maybe it's just that, and maybe they're trying to be extra cautious with the level of competition that they're throwing a 4th round rookie against right away. I also think on that defensive line, the fact that Jordan Elliott didn't play at all shows that they really have a lot of trust in him as a starter going into this year. I did think Tommy Togiai looked good. As far as defensive end, that's going to be a fun one to watch because Alex Wright played really well, the rookie out of UAB.
I like him. Yeah, he looked great.
And he's really young too, so they're obviously very big fans of that. And then Isaac Rochelle, like he's been to the ball faster than he hit 100,000 followers on TikTok. So he's been all over the place, and I think they're going to have a really hard time, parting ways with him too. I think he's going to make an impact, kind of like that Tack McKinley role last year. Could be Isaac Rochelle. So we'll see what happens, but they're going to have some difficult decisions to make as they get down from 85. They got it to 80 today, and they got it to get it to 53 by the end of the month.
Yeah. Who do you think the odd man out is on defensive end?
It's probably a little too tough to call right now. I mean, I know
agree.
Chase Winovich was always just a flyer. I know that, we traded friend of show Mac Wilson for him, but there's not much of a dead cap hit there. I think something could shake possibly though, where if they bring in a veteran defensive tackle, I know a lot of people think economically Sheldon Richardson, a return for him to Cleveland makes a lot of sense. Maybe then that could just shake up everything. And then you're talking about losing, 2 defensive linemen, not just one, because you bring in a
Where's
vet.
Sheldon at?
I think free agency.
Just hanging.
Still a free agent.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
Or getting ready to be. I don't know if they cut him yet, but you know how that goes.
Yeah. And we had why everyone called JC Treader. I thought Dunn actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
The offensive line in general, I thought looked really good that whole game.
Agree.
Yep. There's a lot of good depth. James Hudson going into year 2 has actually looked really good after, he was just absolutely decimated by Pittsburgh last year in the game that everybody wants to forget, where Baker just forgot how to play the position. But they've really been impressive. There's going to be an odd man out in that room too, between Dunn, Blake Hance. I mean, there's a lot of guys in there.
Speaking of odd men out, running back, what do we do? What a great problem to have.
Yeah.
What
I
on
think
earth
I think somebody's getting traded, right? Like,
really,
especially after
you can't trade Kareem Hunt right now.
I think after the Eagles got a chance to see those guys up close and personal, that they might, try to persist a little bit harder. I know their running back situation is really weird. They got Miles Sanders. If you've ever played fantasy, you know that he's not that good. They got Boston Scott, who's a little bit faster, but also not that good. So yeah, Kareem could definitely be a RB1 there, but I mean, they also got a really good look at Dearness Johnson. He's a guy that's not that much younger than Kareem Hunt. He's 6 months younger and makes a little bit less. So maybe somebody could just go after Dearness because you give up less because it's not as big of a name. He's only 6 months younger, so you're not getting a spry young guy, and you only have to give up call it a 4th, 5th round pick.
Interesting. Chris, if you had to get rid of one running back, who would it be?
I don't know what the contract situation. What is the contract situation for Dearness?
They're both identical. Dearness is here on a 1 year, and Hunt is here on a 1 year. So pick your poison.
Wow, you got to pick one of them.
Well, 6 months. I tell you, I'd keep Hunt. I think I'd keep Hunt.
I'm with you.
Be happy.
I think here's
a problem in the locker room. Then I go the opposite way.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of chatter that he's just, understandably, he's not happy with the situation. So he's letting his voice be known, just like he's seen, smart, tough, accountable, right? They've had a myriad of guys, Baker, Odell, ton of players request out. So it's becoming a trend here under Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland.
Wow, you're putting it on Kevin. Wow,
I mean,
it's by Nick.
It's become a little bit of a trend. There's a lot of guys that want out of town.
Yeah, but Kareem Hunt is 27. This is his last chance at a payday. He took the hometown discount,
he ain't gonna get it
after his issues. No, he's not. But it's his last chance to make some money.
I know, and I appreciate that for him, and I really would like to see him get that. But the fact of the matter is, a running back
Kevin
trying
Stefanski sucks.
No, he doesn't. But a running back trying to get his 3rd contract just doesn't happen.
Le'Veon Bell. You start a rap album.
Yeah, he's trying to fight Jake Paul. So
yeah,
it doesn't happen. So it just bums me out to see in these last 2 years how many talented players have just wanted to see the door.
Ooh. All right, let's talk about what we really came on the show to talk about. And Chris, you were there up close. Cade York,
yes,
nailing the 50-yarder. He missed the longer one, and he still got the applause. Cleveland loves this kid, justifiably so. How do you look in person?
Caught the video there pregame of him easily making one from 61 out, and that would have been good from like 71. So he looks good. A lot of people pointed out, well, it's easy to do when you don't have a hand in your face or, the pressure.
People love that. People love that.
Oh, yeah.
But I tell you what, man, this kid, he could be something special. And that's what we need. We're going to have a lot of those games this year, I think, especially at the beginning of the season when the schedule steps up, where it's going to come down to a field goal. We all know it's going to come down to Cade York plenty of times. And it looks like he's got the goods to make that happen. And we haven't had that kind of confidence in a while. I think
we haven't had expectations for a kicker in decades.
It's been an afterthought in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
I know we've drafted some, like Gonzalez, but it's been an afterthought at times. And this time, obviously, they put a priority on it. It looks like he's responding, and I'm excited about that.
Heck yeah. All right, so we've got Chicago. Jacoby Brissett finally is going to play. Dress rehearsal. Stefanski didn't say how long he's going to play. Finally, some starters. How much do you want to see these guys play? I'd like to see Brissett play a little bit, throw a couple of balls, get a 7 of 9 or something like that. Outside of him, I don't really care. I mean, I'd like to see Schwartz play again. It was nice to see him make a catch. Outside of that, I mean, David Bell, kind of nice to see. I don't want to see him get hurt. He's got good hands. He dropped that one in the preseason game last week. But anyone out there that you really want to see in this dress rehearsal game, or do you want to just tape them all up, let Brissett play for a little bit and move on?
Brissett, one drive. That's all I want.
You think one drive, really?
That's it. Because that means a couple of things. That means, number one, that drive went fairly well. And number two, he's been doing enough in training camp that's all we need to see is one drive. And that's what the coaches are thinking. So one drive, that's it. That would be ideal, Dave.
I will say, I really listening to Kevin Stefanski today, he raved about these joint practices with the Eagles, like a
Like a little
gigantic.
too much, right? It was kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some merit to that, though, just that the preseason games are so pointless because it is just
Yeah.
all backups, from start to finish, that at least at these joint practices, everybody's getting reps all the time. The ones are getting reps against their ones and vice versa. So I do think there is a little bit of merit to that. But yeah, I mean, he raved about those joint practices and how much they meant. He's already trying to set up next year to go to Philly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. But I'm with you guys. I think a little bit of the starters, not too much. I think there's certain guys that you just shelf. Nick Chubb, don't need to see him. Miles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, who has a hamstring right now, don't need to see him. Yeah, you shelf those guys. But I would like to see Jacoby for a drive or two, and I would like to see a lot of the receivers. Sans Amari Cooper. There's a lot of question marks all up and down there, and I think they're going to be watching some other preseason games too around the league, Philly included. I know Jalen Rager's out there on the trade block. Darius Slayton's out there on the trade block for New York. So I think there's definitely some other preseason games of intrigue for the Browns as they try to finalize this roster here in a couple weeks.
1 week closer. All right. The Gardos. Any thoughts on our Gardos, Chris, outside of them not playing when you show up to a game?
Yeah, that was really frustrating. And then go out and lay an egg after that. I'm just excited for them to play again. They played tonight. They're going to be on the West Coast. So not only do you have kind of that debacle at home, now you go out on the West Coast, so they're going to get forgotten about this week. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, yeah, we have this baseball team in town again. But I hope they can keep the momentum that they had prior to this series out there on the West Coast. I'm really looking for that because, we're in first place, boys, and we're coming to the end of August.
Heck yeah.
It's playoff run time.
Chris, and I'll tell you this, not to scoreboard watch too much. We're in the bottom of the 8th, Minnesota down 2-1 to the Texas Rangers.
There we go.
Beautiful. There you go. There you
Things
go.
are starting to come along.
And these are young guys producing for us, continuing to produce for us.
Yeah, there's no way that we thought we would be here when we started this show in April. There's
They started the season from that point to now. They have called up 14 different players who made their MLB debuts.
And they're in first place. They're the youngest team in baseball by a long shot, in first place.
And you've got people on Twitter saying they don't want Tito here anymore.
That's so bizarre.
Get out of here.
Those people are just I don't get it. Like, I get everybody's human, especially in baseball. There's so many damn games. He hasn't been, I don't know. He has not cost them many games.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he is loyal to some of the older pitchers, the Brian Shaws of the world, but get over it. He's an incredible manager.
Yep. He has figured this thing out and literally glued these guys together between Columbus and Akron in a year that a lot of people were just like, oh, at least we got the Jose extension out of this year, and that was going to be our big takeaway. But no, we're in first place in a division race.
Heck yeah. All right, we'll see if we can hold on to first place. Chris, I think we're going to do a golf tournament September 8th. It's a Thursday. Can you make it? I think your mom's coming.
It sounds like my mom is already in. She's already RSVP'd for it. So maybe I'll have to make an appearance for this. Did you say was it a 9-hole? Did I read that right? Or is this an 18?
Yeah, so this is good. So this is the end of golf league. So we play every Thursday afternoon after work. Play 9, have beers after. So this is going to be the end of that. So we're going to have a tournament, bring on a bunch more foursomes, and then winner takes all, get some food. I forgot that I bid on Ricky's food truck, so we can have that come out.
Did you win?
I won. Yes. I didn't mean to win. I was just trying to bid it up, but I accidentally won. So we have a food truck for 2 hours whenever we want.
I'll come out.
Yes, Nick, please do. So yeah, we'll it'll be fun. We'll get some free Labatt's, we'll get some free food, and play 9.
Sounds like a good time. I'm gonna have to see if my schedule will warrant it, because that sounds like fun, Dave.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Big Play Reflog Show. We will see you guys next Monday night, 9 p.m. Go Browns. Go Guards. Go Columbus Sports.
The Cavs schedule came out.
I was about to say go Cavs, but I think that's a little too early for that, right?
Yeah, a little too early.
Were there any highlights for you, Nick?
No, I'm still upset. LeBron signed that extension. I don't want to talk Cavs. And the show, Dave. See ya.
It's time! Streaming live from Cleveland, Ohio! Presenting the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight podcast of the world, the Big Play Reflog Show!